Hello and welcome to Knit Tea Live. I am back after a week off. Thank you so much for joining me. I see that we already have 4 people here in the chat. Hello, James. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are here live, please make sure to say hi in the chat so I can wish you a warm personal welcome. Let me know where you're watching from. I am here in the still very hot Los Angeles area. It's still summer here. I know the unofficial summer was last weekend, and we still have like the official end of summer when the fall equinox occurs, but it is still very much summer here in LA. Sorry, I have my coffee, my Contigo mug. If you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for also taking time to join us here today. And you can still be part of the conversation by, making comments. I do read the comments. So please, whether you're watching live or you are watching on replay, be part of the conversation. Absolutely. I love having your comments and everything. Sorry, I was a little rushed this morning getting everything together. In fact, I was a couple minutes late starting the live stream. It was just my own thing. It was just my own poor time management. But so I'm feeling like a little like, oh my gosh, where am I at things? Before I forget, make sure also to do the YouTube thing. So like this video. And if you are not already, if you're new here and you have not already subscribed, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you think you're subscribed, double check. Make sure that you've clicked on the subscribe button. Because I know this has happened to me where I've had somebody, I've watched some of their videos, they keep popping up in my feed. I assume that I'm subscribed to them and then come to realize I'm not. Or I'm subscribed and then for some reason, YouTube unsubscribes me because YouTube does things like that. And so it's always worth just checking it out, just making sure you click that subscribe button. All right. So make sure. Oh, and also, sorry, I'm a little disorganized. If you are watching on replay, we heart you. And if you want to jump around to different parts of the video, there will be timestamps that I put in the description box after the live stream. Sometimes it takes me a little bit, sorry, something just fell off camera, but sometimes it takes me a little bit to get those timestamps done, but they will appear. They will appear. So hello, UF. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I love the sheep emoji. Love it. So cute. I'm personally like using llamas a lot. I don't know why. So yeah, today, well, I think the title of this live stream says it all. We are going to be talking more about the newish wonder from Spinrite called the Ogo. Do I have the packaging here, or did I actually get it out of the way? I don't have the packaging here with me. If you don't know what the Ogo is, I did a first impression review of it that I put up on Friday, and you can learn almost all the right things about Ogo in that first impression review. But it was a first impression review, and I did approach that review from kind of the standpoint of me just being a casual crafter, casual knitter who bought some yarn, and I'm not doing a ton of research on it, just going to open up the package, follow the directions on the package, and everything. But I have learned some things. Since I shot that video, and I'm going to be sharing some of it with you today because I have some thoughts. Not all of them kind, but I have thoughts. And also, I'd love to hear from you what you think about this whole new Ogo thing from Spinrite. So we're going to get into that. For that first impression review, I did start knitting a hat. The pattern came from the Yarn Inspiration website, which is Spinrite's website. So I will show you that because I did finish the hat, mostly finished the hat. And I have another finished object to share with you today, a long time project that I've been working on. Feels a long time to me anyway, but I'll be sharing that. And then we'll have a little bit of pattern spotlight. And if I remember, I will tell you what I have been crafting too. But yeah, so hello, Bear. Thank you so much for being here today. So excited that you're able to make the live stream. And yeah, let's just jump in, shall we, to today's main topic, which is what I got wrong about the OGO. First, about the OGO. Maybe you remember, if you watched the video, maybe you remember this moment in it. If you haven't watched the video, though, I'm going to share with you this clip from it. If Red Heart Super Saver came out in this format, I'd be like, pass. Not worth it. But maybe this yarn is fantastic. Yes, so in the video, I was like, yeah, Red Heart. If Red Heart came in this unique packaging, which is the OGO, let me bring up a quick photo of it so you can actually see. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, you can see what it is. And it'll also tell you one of the things that I got wrong. Actually, let me share. Sorry, just looking for the right one. Here it is. I'll show you this photo of it. Here we go. So this is the OGO. This is kind of a tight screenshot from my clip, but you can get the idea of what it is. Basically, what the OGO is this unique way that Spinrite is starting to wind some of their yarn. When you get it in the packaging, it looks like a donut. When you open it up, it looks like a long worm. And so that's what I call it. I call it the yarn worm. But here's kind of an idea of what it looks like. And they claim, OGO claims, that this is a tangle-free, quick start format to have yarn wound in. Well, I put it to the test in my video, but I was very clear where it's like, at the end of the day, fiber is first. And if this came like with Red Heart Super Saver yarn, wouldn't bother with it at all. Well, I was unaware that Spinrite is in fact the manufacturer of Red Heart Super Saver. And guess what? They are in fact starting to sell the Red Heart Super Saver in this OGO format for 50 cents more, because the regular just Red Heart Super Saver in the regular traditional skein is $6.49 on this Yarn Inspiration website. For 50 cents more, you can get the Yarn Worm OGO format. And this makes me laugh. This makes me laugh for a couple of reasons. The main reason it makes me laugh is I am not a fan of Red Heart Super Saver. I know there are people who really like the yarn. If you like the yarn, just know this is my personal opinion, and it is no way a reflection of your personal preferences. But to me, Red Heart Super Saver is cheap, scratchy acrylic yarn. It is the bad reputation acrylic yarn. It's what gives acrylic yarn the bad name. And I'm sitting there going, why not, instead of for an extra 50 cents getting it packaged in this yarn worm, why not for an extra 50 cents make a better yarn? Just make a better yarn, Spinrite, and bump it up 50 cents if that's what you want to do with it. So, like, why? But I'm not surprised either. And it's not just the Red Heart Super Saver that's coming in this new format from Spinrite. They're also going to be releasing a Carrie worsted weighted yarn. They're calling it the Big Donut, but they're also going to be releasing that in this OGO. But when I saw that they are now selling the Red Heart Super Saver in the OGO format, I was just like, I side-eyed. I rolled my eyes hard, especially like an extra 50 cents for cheap, scratchy, this is what gives acrylic yarn a bad name yarn. But that's not really what made me sit there and like want to spit. Just go and lecture Spinrite, you know? Wait, let me check on some comments real quick. First of all, welcome Jenny Cox. So glad you were able to make it and figured out the time difference. I think it's an 8-hour time difference between the UK and LA, if I remember correctly. So good evening. Good evening. And Bear says, I wish all companies would just have a little tag on the end of the yarn that it is coming from the center so it is easy to find. No extra packaging or change in how the skein is wound. Right? Right? That would make it easier. That would make it quick start. Oh, but guess what, Bear? Your comment is like perfect timing because this is going to lead me into what I got wrong about the OGO. I assumed, based on this picture, I got to bring it back up again. I assumed, based on this picture, right, that you are meant to pull the yarn from the center, and this was a center pull format. And if you look at the photo, like here, and actually I believe this is actually a screenshot from my video, but if you look at that, and on the packaging, it looks like the person is pulling from the center, right? And it only makes sense because the whole idea of this format, this yarn worm, is to be able to have a tangle-free experience. Well, you tell me if your experience is different. But in my experience, 20 years of experience, when I've had a problem with yarn tangles, caused by how I'm pulling the yarn off the skein, it has been because I have been pulling from the center. It is not because I have been pulling from the outside. If I pull from the outside of the ball, I don't get tangles, at least not from pulling out the yarn. I might get tangles for other reasons, but it's not from pulling the yarn off the ball from the outside. So I went on, I'm kind of giving it away. Got a little ahead of myself. So I went on Spinrite to check out, just to see if any other yarns they were going to release any other yarns in this OGO format. And I came across their online directions for utilizing this yarn. Lo and behold, if you look at number 3, it says stitch. The yarn flows smoothly from the outside of OGO, no tangles. And you can see in the illustration that it's showing that you're supposed to be pulling from the outside yarn. Why? Why? What? So I, in my video, according to OGO, was doing it wrong, pulling from the center. I should have been pulling from the outside. I don't see how then this is magically tangle-free as opposed to a traditional bullet skein, a ball of yarn, a cake, a true donut wind. I have all of this in my stash, all out of reach. I meant to bring it up on my table before I started the live stream, but I forgot to do it. Sorry. But I would say flabbergasted, but I'm more angry. Angry is a hard word. Annoyed, perturbed. I'm more like, what? Why? Why would I pay extra money for cheap yarn to pull it from the outside when I can already do that and avoid tangles for different packaging? And the whole quick start thing that's on the packaging, it says it's quick start. They're very big on this being quick start. It makes sense to say, oh, this is quick start if you're pulling from the center, because when you do open up the packaging, that center pull end of the yarn is right there for you, right? Has anybody ever had trouble finding the end of the yarn on the outside of the skein? I mean, so what exactly is making this quick start as opposed to other ways that you would find yarn from Spinrite? I mean, it's like, this sent me over the edge a little bit. I'm being somewhat hyperbolic, okay? A little bit. This is just yarn at the end of the day. But the reason it bothered me was because after my first impression review, I was fairly like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to buy this again because I don't like the yarn, but sure, if you find this easier to deal with, you like this packaging, no big deal. It's a little gimmicky, but it's a gimmick that works. Now I'm sitting here going, no, this is just a flat out gimmick in my opinion. Because if the intention with this revolutionary new way to wind yarn is so that you can have a tangle-free experience pulling the yarn from the outside, that's just a pure gimmick. And it bothers me that they are clearly marketing this to beginner knitters who just don't have enough experience to know necessarily that this is a gimmick. So let's look at some comments now that I'm like done ranting a bit. Samantha, I wonder if the change in packaging is a way to justify a price increase they planned needed to do anyways. It certainly would seem so, and that would make a lot of sense. But it's also a lot of effort to put towards a price increase, because something I didn't point out in the video, and again, I wish I had the packaging next to me. I thought it was here, but anyway, don't have it near me. On the packaging, it says that this is a patent pending yarn format. So this yarn worm that they have created is patent pending. That means to me, my best guess is that they have designed equipment that is necessary to wind the yarn in this fashion. That's a lot of money to invest. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be able to wind that yarn. I'm guessing, this is all a guess, I'm guessing they're not able to wind that yarn without some kind of specialty equipment, and that they are trying to get a patent on that equipment. Because I'm sure there's going to be a mad rush to start winding yarn into a worm. Anyway. Kathleen Fry, pulling that way also changes the twist. I'm even more upset about the whole concept now. Right? Now, I know this is something that can happen, because how you pull off the yarn from the ball can change the twist. It's not something I've personally experienced much, unless I'm doing like a long tail cast on. But yes, that is an issue that can come up, which is yarn has a twist direction, and there's like a right end, to the yarn, in order to keep the proper twist to the yarn. I will say that, as I said in my first impression video, it is a tightly wound yarn. This Karen that I got, in fact, I have it here. Here's my little like yarn mini worm, because this is the yarn mini worm, as I call it. A little messy. But it is a tightly wound yarn. Like, it has a lot of Like if I do that, it doesn't untwist easily. That's very different, by the way, from the Karen Simply Soft, which is a loosely spun yarn. Let's see. Donna. Welcome, Donna. So glad you're here. Ogo yarn may go the way of 8-track tapes. I don't think that this will catch on. I totally agree with you. And it's so funny you say that because for some reason, this Ogo reminds me of something that would happen in the 70s and early 80s. I don't know why. Hello, Jillian, Evie. So glad you're here with us today. Let's see. Bear, tangle free because they don't intend for you to pull from the center. Lame. I'm also not a fan of all the paper packaging that is being used instead of a ball band. It makes up a lot more room. Yes, it does. It was a one-off line moment that I kind of had in my video, but this is something else that does bother me about this Ogo, which is, it's not, yes, I agree with you with the waste of packaging material with that cardboard, with the heavy duty double stick tape that's very close to the yarn. It's bulky. This format here, I'll just show you this photo again. This is a bulky format. Even before you cut it open, it's bulky. So if you were wanting to stash this, it would take up quite a bit of space. But then when you open it up, unless you start breaking out the different segments of color, which I will say that is the one thing about this yarn, is it's a self-striping yarn. If you want to break off each piece into its own little yarn segment, separate it out like this is here, it is very easy to do. It's very easy to do, but if you just keep it in that long self-striping, go with the flow format, yeah, that is not easy to store. That is not going to fit in your average project bag. That is not going to be something that is easy to travel with. Like, the more I think about this yarn, it just in terms of the worm aspect of it, is how impractical it really is. I think if people want to use this, they will end up using a yarn winder to make a regular cake of yarn. I totally agree with you. And as I said in my video, yarn cake, that's my favorite way to have. I don't always wind my yarn into a cake, but that is my favorite way to have my yarn wound up, is in a cake. I like the cake because if you want to pull from the center, you can. It's very easy. But I usually pull from the outside. But even pulling from the outside, it sits nicely. It doesn't roll around. Because, look, there's two reasons that people like a center pull ball, right? The one, they like a center pull ball because it does flow very nicely off of the sky when you pull from the center. Sometimes when you pull from the outside, you have to really like pull out a bunch of length before you can keep going. The other reason, though, the main reason people cite for wanting to pull from the outside of a ball of yarn is that, or from the center, I'm sorry, the main reason you hear people talk about wanting to pull from the center of the ball of yarn is because then it doesn't bounce around. It just stays stable on the floor or next to you. It doesn't bounce all over the place. And with a cake, no matter whether I'm pulling from the inside or the outside, it just stays nice and contained, doesn't move around a whole lot. Let's see. Evie, yeah, I agree. The biggest benefit is that you can easily see the color sections, but the rest, meh. Yes, and that is the easiest thing about it. It's the only thing about it, but there's something about it too that's so silly to me because I don't know. I mean, one of the things, the project that I did, this hat project that I did, that's pictured on the front of the packaging. Let me bring that photo up. Bring that back up. Here we go. This is the hat I made. This is the hat I made that's pictured right here. This hat, in order to make it, I had to break up the color segments. And that was very kind of interesting, but there was part of me that was bummed out about it at the same time, because I was like, what if I just want to do I really wanted to just do the self-striping. I did not want to cut up the color segments. But I actually think that's the way to do it. And the way that this yarn format makes any sense is to break up the color segments. And at which case, what you're really buying is a bunch of mini skeins, you know, just packaged all together. And for, you know, I haven't used Bernat blanket. I can't speak to the quality of Bernat blanket. I mean, I've seen it in the stores. It's a polyester yarn, basically kind of a chenille look to it. It seems fine. It seems fine for a synthetic fiber, but I can't really comment on it personally because I've never worked with it. I can say that this Karen Colorama Ogo yarn was meh. It was meh. And I'm like, why? Based on the quality of the yarn, I wouldn't buy it again. Let's see. I'm going to just check my notes real quick. Covered all that. Yeah, so I think that's kind of everything I wanted to say about the Spinrite. Everything else in my first impression video, I wouldn't even say everything else, because obviously if you watch the video, you know you can very easily pull from the inside. And when I pulled from the inside, I never had a problem. I didn't have any tangles in the video. When I pulled apart the first color segment, the outside of the yarn, because basically what it is these are really cones of yarn. If that, like, you can kind of see it here, right? See this end? This is basically a cone of yarn, just not spun onto a cone. And each little end gets tucked up into the next color. So when I pulled out this color to cut the yarn, what happened was the outside yarn that this was tucked up into collapsed down, which I was concerned that if I started moving the yarn around, that it was going to come unraveled and then I was going to get a tangly mess. So I did end up taking all this yarn to my couch to knit real life. And I will say that surprisingly, even though it looked messy, these bundles did hold together okay. But I did get a little bit of a tangle, just a squidge of a tangle, which I will show you the picture of. Where are you? There. You can see it here. I took a photo of it. This photo is not appearing all that great in the live stream. It doesn't look this bad in real life. But anyway, you can see a little bit of this tangle. But that tangle happened for the reasons that tangles usually happen with me, which is that I had to frog some of the yarn. So I had a bunch of loose yarn. I didn't wind it back around because I was pulling from the center. But no, that's not what happened here. Sorry. I'm going to walk that back. What happened here was the end of the yarn, my center pull end of the yarn, and the outside end of the yarn just kind of got tangled up in each other, which that can happen sometimes. But yeah, so I did get a tangle, but it wasn't because of how, I don't know why that photo is not showing up. I'm going to just close that so I don't go to it again. So yeah, but it wasn't caused by how the yarn was wound. But then I'm going to go back to this. I think that, and again, if anyone else's experience is different, I would love to hear about it. Just my own personal experience is that if I get tangles due to how the yarn was wound, it's usually because I pulled from the center. Especially if I got yarn barf. You know, you pull from the center. We've all been there. When we pulled from the center, we get the yarn barf, the big clump of yarn that comes out. And that's a lot of times where a tangle might happen. And I don't think, I would be very surprised if yarn barf occurred with this yarn worm from Spinrite, only because of the way that it's spun into this kind of cone shape. But you never know. Things happen. So, okay. I'm just making sure that I hit all my things. So yes, I did. But all that being said, I did finish, for the first impression, I did work a pattern, the pattern that is on the front of the Ogo packaging. It's a free pattern, and I did finish it. Here it is. Well, I mostly finished it, obviously. Obviously, I still need to make a pom-pom for it and weave in the ends. But here's the project. Let me turn around this side. That looks better. And yeah, I have to say, the project itself was pretty enjoyable to knit, and I actually would work this project again with different yarn. I would not get this yarn again. I will even say that, I would even go so far to say that if Spinrite, if sold this Karen yarn in just a regular skein, I probably still wouldn't use it. It's not bad yarn. It's just not my personal preference. It's kind of rustic looking, I guess I'd say. It's a less polished yarn. There's just something about it that's a little, it's unpolished. That's how I would say it. It's not, it is a super cute hat. I agree. I agree. This is a very cute hat. And you can get this on, I will even put a link down to the pattern. It's a free pattern from Spinrite. You can get it off their website. You don't need to buy the yarn to get this pattern if you want to work it. I would just use a different yarn to make it if I made it again. But it is a cute pattern. One thing, this was in my video, but there was color bleed on my skein, namely this dark blue color, just little splotches of it throughout. And that carried like all the way through, like every point along each yarn, there was some color bleed. You can even see it. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but not just dots, but like right here, I don't know if you can see it on the live stream, but right here is like a line of that blue across it, and it's here. I think you can probably really see it there. So there's a lot of color bleed on my skein. Now, I don't know if I got a lemon in that regard or if this is just endemic to this yarn. I'm not buying more to find out. I'm not buying more to find out, but it is a cute pattern. So no regrets with making the pattern. I'm going to weave in ends. I'm going to make a pom-pom. For some reason, I do think this yarn is going to make a really cute pom-pom. There's just something about it. But yeah, I wouldn't buy this yarn again, even no matter what format it was in. That's just my personal preference. And you know, there are other Karen yarns that I like. I really like the Karen Simply Soft. If you've watched my acrylic yarn review video, you know that. Also, Karen has a Pound of Love. It's not, Lion Brand is Pound of Love, but Karen has a 1 pound mega thing of worsted weighted acrylic yarn, and it's not bad. It's not bad for really inexpensive acrylic yarn. Kathleen, I've seen the wayward splotches on other Karen yarns like their big cakes. Oh, good to know. Good to know. I'm trying to think if I have their big cakes or if I got Lion Brand cakes. I do have some cake yarn that I haven't yet to use. It's earmarked for a project that I just haven't gotten around to. Okay, since we're talking about finished objects, I am going to show off my other finished object, my mostly finished project, because I do have to weave in all the ends. In fact, I think today is going to be a big, after I'm finished with my live stream and everything, I think today is going to be a big weaving in ends party kind of day for me, because I have a number of projects where I just need to weave in ends, and I just need to get it done. But I have finished knitting the sock. Both pairs are done. Yay! Let's see. I finished grafting this toe. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. I finished grafting the toe last night. So now all I have to do is weave in ends and wash and block it. For blocking, no, I will not be putting this on sock blockers. I'll just lay it out flat and make sure everything is kind of like nicely shaped and do a light blocking. But yeah, I'm very happy with how these turned out. It was a fun sock to knit. It uses a German twist cabling technique that I really, really enjoy, that I got out of, where is it? It's over here. I have the book. Can I find it before I give up? Nope. It's over here. I know it is. Really exciting right now. Oh, here it is. Ugh. This is the book. Twisted Stitch Knitting. Traditional Patterns and Garments from the Styrian Enns Valley by Maria Albacher. I love this book. This has a lot of, it's mostly a stitch dictionary. There you can see it. And it shows off these different, like, Bavarian German twist patterns. So it's a fun cabling technique. It's a very fun cabling technique. Most of the twists, the cabling happens is just passing one stitch over another, maybe 2 or 3. And traditionally, you work it without a cable needle. So because some of the twist, the cables patterns in this technique, some of them you do need a cabling needle because there's more stitches involved, but usually you're just passing 1 or 2 stitches over a purl background, so you can do it without a cabling needle. So very fun. Really enjoy those types of stitches. And it involves twisted stitches, which, I don't know, twisted stitches, they're kind of fun to knit. I always feel a little rebellious with them. I know, wild and crazy knitter right here. Wild and crazy. I twist my stitches sometimes when a pattern calls for it. So yeah, I got that finished. And so now I'm going to be concentrating on the Amberline wrap, which is the pattern that you all helped me decide to cast on next. And I think I have a few odds and ends, other projects to finish up. Like I have a pair of fingerless gloves where I just need to finish the thumb on it. And I think I'm actually getting my whip count down. So it's probably time to start thinking about casting on my next project. I'm pretty sure my next project I'm going to cast on is going to be the Clapidus scarf because I have the yarn planned out for it. I'm really looking forward to doing that project. So, so unless someone has another question or comment, I think it is a good time to move on to Pattern Spotlight. A lot of neat new patterns came out this week, so going to show some of those off. And yeah. Sorry, just getting my computer set up. Here we go. So we're here on my new website, CarrieCraftGeek.com, and we're at the top of the Fiber Happenings page. And just real quick, I am, FYI, a KnitPicks affiliate, which means that if you click on one of my links to KnitPicks and you make a purchase, I then earn a small commission, and these commissions help me support my channel. And if you do utilize one of my affiliate links, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. You can find all my affiliate information down in the description box if you'd like to think about utilizing one of them. And if not, that's great too. Like, please, no pressure. But I did want to point out that KnitPicks and their other site called We Crochet are having a sale that is going on until November 12th, or I'm sorry, October. They have a sale that's going to be going on until October 12th. And the sales are a little bit different depending on whether you're shopping on We Crochet versus KnitPicks. But on KnitPicks, you can buy 4 balls of Kindred and get 1 ball free. I have not utilized Kindred, but I'm very intrigued by it because it is an alpaca cotton blend yarn. So if you're interested in trying out Kindred, now would be a good time to check that out. I just wanted to point that out real quick since we were scrolling through my page. But let's look at the pretty new patterns. First up, from Knit One Per Two, love her name, we have Pearls of Wisdom socks. She has a new sock pattern out here. And let's see. Bear says, those socks are gorgeous. You don't know this, but you taught me how to tighten up my one by one. Oh, with your explanation of east and western mounted stitches. I'm still making vanilla socks, lots of them. Thank you, Donna. I'm so glad that my explanation of eastern and western mountain stitches helped you out. That is a great, great technique for being able to make really nice, tidy one by one ribbing. It's also a great thing to know for things with cabling, even 2x2 ribbing. I was actually going to do a video specifically about that. It's on the list of videos to do, but I'm so glad you found that helpful. But we have these socks here, and if you're interested in branching past, this might be a good sock pattern for you to look at. But this is the Pearls of Wisdom. It's an easy to memorize. I'm going to just read from the website. Pearls of Wisdom is an easy to memorize stitch pattern similar to a basket weave. Pearl stitches create an interesting texture of little pearls around the legs and down the foot without being too overwhelming for knitting in the round. And it is, just click on this next picture, you can kind of see a little bit more of a close-up. It features a classic flap and gusset heel. It looks like a heel stitch pattern on the heel flap. And you can see a bit more of the stitch pattern here. It is a really nice, lovely textured stitch pattern. And if what you've been knitting so far has been more just vanilla socks, this might be a fun pattern to branch out with because it's still a fairly straightforward knit purl combination with a flap and gusset heel and what looks like a round wedge toe. Is that a rounded toe? So yeah, still very straightforward. So that is from Knit One Per Two. Love her name. Next, a bee in the bonnet. Lauren Rad, one of my favorite designers. They're all my favorite designers, okay? I say one of my favorite designers. They're all my favorite designers. But Lauren Rad has a new cowl at called the Pendiculation Cowl. Pendiculation means to stretch oneself, especially in the morning. And we'll take a look at it on her Etsy shop so that we can get a better look at the details of this cowl. And this cowl is very interesting. I want to get to this photo because you can see it better. It has a 1x1 twisted ribbing along with columns of eyelets, but you have these little baubles on it that give this really lovely texture, but there's an undulation to the stitch pattern, which I think you can really see here that it's just lovely. I love the movement of the stitches that she's created in this cowl. So really, it's just a really lovely, lovely work from Lauren Rad. I always say that all of her work, and a lot of this has to do with her amazing photography, like she's so good at photographing her work and she has such a specific aesthetic that I really appreciate. And if you don't follow her on Instagram, I suggest that you do because she just takes such beautiful photos and it's always like, oh, it looks like an English rose garden and we're going to sit down and have tea together. And it's just, I love it. I just love her photos. She also is a gardener and she posts photos of her roses and her flowers and stunning. So that is the Pendiculation Cowl from Lauren Rad. That's new from her this week. And let's see, next up, This has actually been out for a couple weeks now. I missed this last week when I did my update, but I wanted to make sure I included it. This is from Liz Cork. These are her, oh, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. I'm probably not. Eisner mitts. It is a fingerless glove. You know I love knitting my fingerless mitts and gloves. This is a fingerless mitt, and it features this is really one of those stitch patterns that I love because it looks like it must be really complex, but it's really not. This is just a rib pattern, but it involves a wrapping technique that gives it texture and almost makes it look like it's cabled, but it's not. It's just all you do for this type of thing is it involves a yarn over. So you knit your column and you do a yarn over, and then you take that yarn over and you slip it over stitches. And so that yarn over ends up wrapping around the column of knit stitches. So it's a very easy, approachable knitting technique that a beginner, advanced beginner, adventurous knitter can absolutely master and do. But you get these stunning results from it. You know, you just get these stunning results that other people will be like, oh my God, you knit that? I love it. I love this. So that is from Liz Cork. Oh, and there's something else neat. Let's look at her Etsy real quick on this, because there's something else that's kind of neat about this glove, which is that mitt, depending on which one you wear on which hand, more or less of this textured stitch pattern appears across the hand. So right here, the way she has them worn, you see quite a bit of the stitch pattern across the back of the hand. But if you wear them opposite, you switch wearing the left or the right, you get, different number of textured stitch pattern showing across the back of the hand. So it's one of those fun things where you can kind of choose your style with it, how you want to wear them. I would probably choose to wear them like this, where all of those columns of the textured stitch pattern were across the back of my hand. But if you preferred this look, you could easily do that. And they're the same pair of gloves. It's just which hand is the glove is, whether it's on the left or the right hand. It's kind of a neat little feature to it. Alrighty. Add to stream. Oops, I accidentally removed myself from the stream. All right. This is the last new pattern that I came. This is the last new pattern that I came across in time for my update for Fiber Happenings. This is from Yarn Addict by Anakin Alice. Excuse me. All right, didn't want to cough on camera. This is the La Coletta shawl. This is a lace shawl pattern from Anakin Alice. We'll go over to her pay hip so you can see more of it. And it's a lovely triangular shawl. This is actually a garter stitch shawl that features kind of this, as she calls it, an easy lace pattern. And it's just lovely. I love the yarn that she chose for this with that blue-yellow gradation. And yeah, it's a lovely, lovely shawl pattern if you want to knit a triangular knit shawl. If you're interested in trying out lace, this could be a nice lace pattern to try your hand out. The fact that it's all knit garter stitch can be a really nice, approachable way to try your hand at lace knitting, because you don't have to worry about purling at all. You just, get to enjoy doing knit stitch after knit stitch and concentrate on learning how to do lace. So, yes, that is, I believe, those are all the new patterns for this week. Did I? I guess I didn't. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down, making sure I didn't miss anything. No. Okay. So yeah, that's it for Pattern Spotlight this week. I hope you enjoyed it. got inspired, or and as always, please, all of these designers that are on Fiber Happenings are designers that are selling their work off Rav and are making a concentrated effort to provide accessible means, more accessible means to purchase patterns away from the website that shall not be named, even though I said it. Julie says, oh, that shawl would look great with some hand spun. Oh, yes. It is. It's so pretty. It really is a very pretty yarn, or a very pretty project. Sorry, suddenly having difficulties speaking. Okay, so I think, I know. I've been meaning to do this segment during live streams. I meant to do it earlier. I just haven't been in the habit of it. But I want to share with you what I have been crafting to lately. And this is just what I use, because let's stop, think, talk. Usually when I craft in front of the TV or with headphones on, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, listening to a book, that sort of thing. So I want to share with you what I have been crafting to this week. And I have two things, really three, but one of them is over. I had been watching the US Open. My husband and I really enjoy tennis. We love watching tennis. I can't play tennis. I can't. I mean, I can take a racket and hit a ball and it will sail off the court because I can't hit it with any control. Growing up, I played softball. I'm used to hitting for power. You know, I'm used to trying to hit doubles and triples. That doesn't work in tennis. Anyway, but I love watching tennis. I'm a big tennis fan. Love watching tennis. So we were watching the US Open. I will be watching that later today. In fact, after this, the men's final is going to be on. I'm very, Novak Djokovic is going for a grand slam, having won all 4 slams in 1 year. Not a huge fan of Djokovic personally, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to be watching that today. But yesterday, the women's final was fantastic. Very excited. It was 2 teenagers. And anyway, so I've been watching a lot of tennis. But the other thing that I was watching was on Amazon. On Amazon, they have a limited series documentary called Lula Rich, which is all about the shenanigans behind LuLaRoe, which, if you don't know what LuLaRoe is, it is a multi-level marketing company that sells clothing. It's had quite the scandal behind it. It was absolutely fascinating to watch. For many reasons, which I don't have time to get in today, but maybe I'll do a little story time crafting where I talk to you about my own personal experience, brush, near miss with MLM. But yeah, it was really fascinating to watch because LuLaRoe is a company that was very cultish, and yeah, it's just fascinating to watch. And it's fascinating to watch how people, specifically white women, get caught up in this LuLaRoe company and the damage it did to some of their lives. So that was really interesting to watch. It's 4 episodes, really good. The other thing I've been watching, which has been on Hulu, is 9 Perfect Strangers. Speaking of cults, 9 Perfect Strangers, which stars Nicole Kidman, Melissa McCarthy, Bobby Cannavale. It's a great cast. It's an okay show. It's a limited series. When I was a kid, we just called them miniseries, but whatever. It's a limited series. It's okay. It's not great, but I'm still enjoying it, and it's really, really good performances. So those are the things I have been crafting to lately. Okay, so with all that said, unless there's any other questions or comments, I'm going to start wrapping things up. Next week, my next video is going to be another video on In the Round. This year, I've been doing a whole series of videos on In the Round knitting. My next one is going to be about jogless stripes, how you can avoid jogs at the color change when you are working stripes. So that'll be my next In the Round video. And then after that, we'll see what there is. If you have not watched my first impression video of Ogo, I still highly recommend that you watch it because hello, you can learn more about the product. You can see more of how it works and everything. So yeah, there is that review if you'd like to watch it and you have not already. Sorry, I gotta just check my notes, make sure I'm hitting everything. Wrap up. Yeah, so that's it. So as always, if you want to follow me on social media and keep up with everything that's going on with me, Carrie CraftGeek, my projects, stuff, please follow me on social media. You can find all of that down in the description box below. On Twitter, I am Knits Where It's At. On Instagram, I am Carrie CraftGeek, Carrie_CraftGeek. So you can find all that down in the description box, as well as my affiliate links. If you'd like to help support my channel monetarily, utilizing one of my affiliate links can be a real win-win, because if you're going to do some shopping anyway, I then get a small commission. Or you can leave me a tip either by using a super thanks if you're watching on replay, or you can always buy me a coffee. Link in the description box. Thank you for sitting through those plugs. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, it's just a necessary part of being here on the YouTubes. But when you do utilize my affiliate links or buy me a coffee or any of that, all of that gets reinvested back into my channel. It does help me buy supplies for reviews, supplies for demonstration, helps me upgrade equipment so I can keep making this channel better, help grow this community, and hopefully be a really good resource for the knitting, crafting community out there. So thank you so much. But if you don't want to, please, greatest way, and it's totally free way to support my channel, is to hit subscribe and give hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribing, liking videos, sharing videos, commenting on videos are all ways that let YouTube know that this is a space worth checking out, and then I get recommended to other knitters who may not have found these videos yet. So thank you so much for your support by liking and subscribing. I so greatly appreciate it. I have so much gratitude to everybody who has supported me in the almost 2 years since I uploaded my first video. Not quite, but we're getting there. So yeah, that is definitely it for this week. I hope that you have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, weeknight, whenever you may be watching this. And as always, happy health and happy crafting. Bye.